Namaste, good evening, and bonjour. Today is really an auspicious day because we are celebrating International Day of Democracy. So one of the voice of the human soul to achieve peace, unity, and many things. Before we start, we will offer our prayer, 1 minute silence prayer to the Divine Mother, and we will start today's session accordingly. Thank you. So, as all of you know, today we are assembled here for a specific purpose, that is to celebrate this International Day of Democracy. Before we enter to the topic, I'd like to say a few words, what exactly, how this project was initiated. As all of you know that in 1926, Sri Aurobindo Ashram was established. In 1960, the Sri Aurobindo Society was established, and in 1968, Aurobindo was established by the mother. So it's basically a triangle process to realize the unity and the divinity, to transform the individual life into an universal consciousness. So to achieve this, Sri Aurobindo Society is basically working on different dimensions, including education, health, culture, and culture is one of the major factors of the society, and we mainly work on diversity of cultural expressions and the cultural unity of India. This is basically the two factors we work on it, and basically we have started a few projects including the diversity of cultural expressions, international cultural relations. You see, there are many institutions around the world. They work for the promotion of Sri Aurobindo's teachings and the mother's, how it can be applied to dynamically to the. I request all of you to kindly mute so that we can proceed accordingly. So today's session actually, the whole world is celebrating the International Day of Democracy, and we thought to start a specific project, that is Sri Aurobindo Integral Study and Research Forum. And before we proceed we have today eminent speakers with us, those who will share their knowledge, experience, creativity, and what are the major challenges happening around the world to realize the human unity. Before we proceed, I would like to say a few things. You see, this is the two beautiful quotations by the mother and Sri Aurobindo. The first is, a new spirit of oneness will take hold of the human race. And the mother is also talking, the world is preparing for a big change. Will you help? So this is basically the two instrumental forces inspired by the teachings of Sri Aurobindo and the mother. Today we are starting this new initiative, that is Sri Aurobindo Integral Study and Research Forum. This Sri Aurobindo Integral Study and Research Forum, particularly an initiative by AuroBharati Sri Aurobindo Society, Union Territory of Puducherry, India. And the central purpose is to take Sri Aurobindo and the mother's vision at a global level. And objectives of this forum to address necessity of preserving the threads of community culture and to promote intercultural understanding, peace, and human unity. So basically realizing the goals, the teachings of integral approach of Sri Aurobindo and the mother, the forum also wants to connect with the people and the institutions globally. Maybe it will be the universities, the schools, colleges, the community cultures, and to do some sustainable development projects, including culture, health, many things. So this forum is open to the ideas, the creative expressions, and moreover, connecting the threads of culture. So basically it's a kind of, and through this forum, efforts will be initiated, like the institutions and individuals globally, for creating a dialogue and understanding of the vision of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. So today we have eminent speakers with us. We have Marcelo Fortuna he is the founder of Associação Comunidade Internacional Sri Aurobindo and Mira from Brazil. We have an eminent speaker, Dr. Ram Sarmaji. He is the principal of SSB PG College, Raniganj, Balia, Uttar Pradesh. We have Mrs. Sweta Padma Pati. She is the member of Eager to Force Ahead Odisha. Dr. Vishwaranjan Nath, he is an active leader, especially working more than 2 decades through his institution called Jagadguru Yoga Bharat Foundation. And also we have Dr. Aniket Mahapatra, academician from the New Alipur College, University of Calcutta, West Bengal. And also we have eminent audience representing different communities and different nations also. I welcome you all for this forum and for the first initiative of today's thing. I'll tell you, these 5 people, basically, if you see the way they are working, especially in the practical field. Recently, I had an interaction with Professor Marcelo from Brazil. I can't express my words the way he is interpreting the works and transforming the ideas into new realities, and particularly connecting the international communities. Dr. Ram Sarma, he is an active socialist, academician, administrator, and a person of diverse multiple attributes. And he is basically working for the transformation of the education and the social ethos and many things. Sweta Padmaji, basically the devotee, belongs from a devotee family. They have touched almost all the corners of Orissa during this 150th birth anniversary of Sri Aurobindo. They have crossed many cities and many communities and touched the life of millions of people in India and also abroad. As I mentioned, Dr. Vishwaranjan Rath, he is just like my younger brother, and more than 25 years of his selfless services, particularly for the development of community culture, education. And Mr. Dr. Aniket ji is an academician, particularly following the path of the Mother and Sri Aurobindo. So the Mother has chosen these 5 people to contribute something to this. Of course, I will also add little, as Mother has given the responsibility to me to coordinate for this. So this is very important and a very interesting topic actually when we talk about this democracy. Okay, so basically every year on the September 15th, this United Nations International Day of Democracy is being celebrated. And it was established by the United Nations in 2007 to promote and strengthen the democratic values. I would like to read the message of the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. The International Day of Democracy is an opportunity to reinforce the importance of upholding free speech, civil liberties, and the rule of law, ensuring accountable institutions, and protecting and promoting human rights. I unquote. This is basically the statement given by the UN Secretary General. And every year they have a specific theme. And this year they are basically promoting the role of AI in promoting the democratic and other areas. The UN also defines that democracy is a universally recognized ideal and is one of the core values and principles of the United Nations. Democracy provides an environment for the protection and effective realization of human rights. The UN promotes good governance, monitors elections, supports civil society to strengthen democratic institutions and accountability, ensures self-determination in decolonized countries, and assist in the drafting of new constitutions in post-conflict nations. So this is basically the definition of the UN, what they have celebrated. When we talk about the democratic ideas of Bharat, the country which we talk about, India and many other attributes are there. There are many points, some significant areas needs to be addressed. So since it is the International Day, thousands and millions of programs are being organized throughout the world. people are celebrating the idea of democracy. But when we talk about this Indic perspective, what this great country, Bharat, or we may talk about the India, what it has given to the world. Basically, India is concerned as the mother of democracy, the values, the ethics, the morality. I will share a few slides. I'd like to quote one of the Sri Aurobindo's quotations. Sri Aurobindo has mentioned that it is only by that reaction, giving birth to a self-conscious democracy, aspirant towards oneness and freedom and reliant on its own manhood, that the dream of a united India can be materialized. So this self-conscious democracy is one of the important factors. Even the mother also has described that the gain of democracy is the security of the individual's life, liberty, and goods from the caprice of the tyrant, one of the selfish few. It is evil is the decline of greatness in humanity. So there are many opportunities and challenges when we talk about the democratic. The main idea is particularly we human beings think about that the human beings are the most superior beings on the earth. And we have, the human beings, they have exploited the nature, the plant life, the animals life, many things. But we have own certain of ideas and we proceed in our own way, whether it is the scientific developments or the social ethos. We have opportunities and we have also the challenges. But when we talk about the addressing the solutions to some specific problems of humanity and to find a specific solution to the problems of the human civilization is basically one of the core points of the Indic people, particularly when we talk about the Vedic sages, the Vedic seers. I will just quickly focus on some 3-4 points, then I will invite the learned speakers today to speak on this. When we talk about the democratic traditions, actually world's largest democracy is identified by the India, basically Indic origins. So it has its long-standing commitment to democratic principles like democratic systems, serve as a model nation for others. And also the main ethos of India, the Bharat, is basically the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That is, the whole world is a family. I request all of you to kindly unmute themselves so that we can smoothly organize today's session. So the famous Rigved, the holy Vedas also speaks Yatra Vishwa Bhavati Ekanidam, where the universe becomes a family. So the idea of unity is being mentioned one of the major factors by the people around the world. And also in one of the verses, the Vedic sages also defines Anubhadra Kratavayantu Vishwataha Aparita Sudbhita. That means let noble thoughts come to us from every side, every corner of the world. So this is basically what the Vedas and the scriptures, the Indic origin, it basically emphasizes on a spiritual democracy. What Sri Aurobindo defines the spiritual gift of India to the world. Second thing, basically promotion of human rights with the democratic values, international dialogues concerning human rights, discussions the democratic governance also. And also India's democracy focuses on the advocacy, supports for democratic governance systems and in international forums, and democratic norms and principles in discussing governments and human rights. For example, India is the founding partner of the UN, that is UN Democracy Fund, UNDEF, a fund that supports projects that strengthen the voice of the civil society. India has also, through its democratic approaches, has contributed for the liberalization, for the freedom of many of the countries. What Sri Aurobindo defines Asia has arisen. Large parts are now quite free or are at this moment being liberated. Its others still subject or partly subject parts are moving through whatever struggles towards the freedom. And Sri Aurobindo also defines for the freedom of these many nations, India has to play a prominent role. For example, you take India has historically supported for the democratic movements and transitions in various countries. We can take whatever India was one of the most outspoken critics of the racial discrimination of South Africa. Also, India supported for the Indonesia's decolonization process, political and moral support to democratic uprising and reforms in countries across Asia and Africa. What Sri Aurobindo defines to strengthen these democratic values, international spirits and outlooks, international forms and institutions must appear. Sri Aurobindo also further defines there should be perhaps such developments as dual or multilateral citizenships, build interfaces or voluntary fusions to culture needs to be established. Also, India's democratic contribution for the democratic creation of the democratic institutions. The objective is to strengthen democratic institutions and governance structure, not just within its own borders, but also as a model for others. Like India is a permanent, India has contributed for its existence in many of the international forums, that is, whether it is the United Nations, whether it is the BRICS, whether it is the ASEAN, whether it is the SAARC, in many sectors. So particularly also the non-aligned movement, that is the NAM movement, India was one of the founding members. So when we study all these aspects, whether it is the contribution to the democratic ethos, creation of the new institutions, the policies, some groups, and how, and more specifically to address the critical situations, we can see also what is happening around the world and how India is addressing those problems in a specific way. So its ethos is basically an inclusive culture. It's not like a one-way traffic. India has its own existence to address issues and to create a solution, because what Sri Aurobindo defines a widest and highest spiritualizing of life on earth is the last vision of all that vast and unexampled, seeking and unexperimented in 1,000 ways of the soul's outermost and innermost experience, which is the unique character of India's past. This is the end, is the mission for which she was born and the meaning of her existence. I unquote. This was some of the small ideas I was trying to share what the spirit is. Basically, when these civilizations were emerged, there was no contact between the nations. Unfortunately, the people, when they came in contact with each other, in many cases, they fought with each other actually. So the concept of civilization was collapsed. The world history says it is basically the rise of nations. So the civilizations were broken and small. It was broken, scattered into different small nations. And this problem is still going on. It's not, the end is there. Many nations, they are demanding for creation of new nations. In that way, we feel that there is also a disaster, a diversity in the democracy, and serious challenges we are facing. So with this, I will finish my introductory things, what I was trying to present. We have learned speakers with us, and today it will be really an emerging and one of the innovative sectors, areas to listen from this audience. So we'd like to start with today one of the speakers, Surendra Singh Chauhanji will not be able to join. So we can start with Professor. I would invite Dr. Ram Sarmaji, the principal of SSP PG College, Uttar Pradesh, Valia. He had a wider level of experience, not only addressing the diversity of expressions in Indian community, but also has his own experience while working with many of the institutions and scholars, both in the United States and the African and European communities. And I request Professor Sarma to kindly speak on this occasion on this specific subject, what India has gifted to the world of democracy and what are the major solutions needs to be addressed to this. Dr. Sarma,
I am here in New Delhi at Ramkishan Mission Ashram. I am sitting on the chair and I don't know how much time they will allow me, but it's really a difficult situation for me. In spite of that, I'm joining here, and the word democracy, if we study our ancient scriptures, we find Chanakya, how he made Chandragupta the king from a very, I think, baser family. So these concepts are very familiar in India from the very ancient times. And Sabha and Samiti were also very popular in the ancient times. So democracy is not a unfamiliar word in India. It is quite familiar. If we study democracy nowadays, we find certain problems. Just like democracy is heading towards, हम देख रहे हैं कि डेमोक्रेसी किस तरह से राजतंत्र में बदलती जा रही है। एक जो है इसके अंदर जो डेमोक्रेसी कहा गया था कि इट इज अ गवर्नमेंट फॉर द पीपल बाय द पीपल, कॉमन पीपल का जो हस्तक्षेप है वो कम होता जा रहा है और उसमें बाकी लोगों का, धनाढ्य वर्ग का और भूमाफियाओं का या बाहुबलियों का जो है एक तरह का जमावड़ा हो गया है। तो ये डेमोक्रेसी अगर हम 70 सालों का भारतवर्ष का उसमें हम देखें इतिहास, तो एक जो डेमोक्रेसी वाली इसकी जो है बॉडी तो हमें दिखाई दे रही है, लेकिन इस रियल स्पिरिट इज मिसिंग। तो इस पे हमें कहीं ना कहीं काम करना पड़ेगा। सोशलिज्म नहीं दिखाई दे रहा है डेमोक्रेसी में। अगर सोशलिज्म की बात करें तो जेपी मूवमेंट या जयप्रकाश नारायण जी बहुत बड़ा नाम है हमारा। अगर हम डेमोक्रेसी की बात करेंगे तो जयप्रकाश नारायण जी का नाम हमेशा आएगा। तो इस पे भी हमें विचार करना चाहिए कि हमारी डेमोक्रेसी भारत की वास्तव में अब जा कहाँ रही है। ये धनाढ्य वर्ग के हाथों तक सीमित हो गई है, बाहुबलियों के हाथों तक सीमित हो गई है, या इसमें कॉमन जनता का भी कोई हाथ बचा हुआ है अभी। गांधी जी ने तो यहाँ तक कहा है कि पॉलिटिक्स विदाउट प्रिंसिपल इज नो पॉलिटिक्स। आज किसी भी गंदी चीज का नाम पॉलिटिक्स रख दिया, हम कुछ भी गंदा कर दें और हमें कह दें कि ये तो पॉलिटिक्स हो रही है। तो क्या इतना खराब चीज पॉलिटिक्स या डेमोक्रेसी रह गई है? इस पे भी हमें विचार करना चाहिए और कॉमन पर्सन का इसमें ज्यादा से ज्यादा पार्टिसिपेशन होना चाहिए। यही मैं चाहूंगा। इसके लिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं, इस पे जरूर हमें विचार करना पड़ेगा। औरबिंदो का हम सिंथेसिस ऑफ योगा पढ़े और किस तरह से उन्होंने कॉमन पर्सन की जो स्पिरिट है और सोल का उन्होंने पार्टिसिपेशन का वर्णन किया है, किस तरह से वो अराइज होगी और किस तरह से उनका पार्टिसिपेशन होगा, उस पर भी हमें डीप जाके काम करना पड़ेगा। बहुत चैलेंजेस हैं डेमोक्रेसी की, लेकिन यह 70 सालों में भारतवर्ष ने डेमोक्रेसी की जो एक बॉडी है उसे तो बचाए रखा है। हालांकि इसकी आत्मा धीरे धीरे मर रही है। क्यों मर रही है, इस पे भी हमें विचार करना पड़ेगा। कॉमन पर्सन का भी इसमें पार्टिसिपेशन होना चाहिए। लिबर्टी, इक्वालिटी, फ्रेटर्निटी, इन तीनों शब्दों पे हमें विचार करना पड़ेगा। सोशलिज्म पे विचार करना पड़ेगा। और चुनाव जब आते हैं तो सिर्फ आरोप प्रत्यारोपों का ही जोर चलता है कि ये चोर है, ये महाचोर है, ये डकैत है। उसमें प्रोग्रेस फॉर्मूला या प्रोग्रेस ग्राफ क्या हो, उस पर कोई विचार नहीं होता है। तो हमारे भारतवर्ष की जो डेमोक्रेसी है, हालांकि इसमें पूरे विश्व की अच्छी अच्छी चीजें ली गई हैं, लेकिन अभी भी इसमें बहुत सारी चीजों पे काम करने का, कॉमन मैन का पार्टिसिपेशन का, इसमें अभी बहुत ज्यादा रोल बचा हुआ है। हमारा जो यूथ है, अगर वो जयप्रकाश नारायण का सोशलिज्म, आचार्य नरेंद्र देव का सोशलिज्म पढ़े तो वो जान पाएगा किस तरह से वो अपने आप को तैयार कर सकता है आने वाले समय के लिए। मैं इतना ही कह सकता हूँ, कौन जाने कहाँ से कब से चल पड़ा है यह सफर और कहाँ है खत्म, कितने मिले कितने बिछुड़े, फिर भी हम गतिमान है निरंतर एक अनंत यात्रा पर। Thank you very much and sorry for the interruption. I don't have much time. I am just sitting here at Ramakrishna Mission. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Sarmaji. I can understand your situation. He's occupied basically in a medical case at Delhi, but he spent some little time. What he mentioned that India's democracy is being mentioned from the Vedics to the modern times. India has adopted many of the democratic values from other countries also. And his concern is that the common man's participation, although the people choose the leaders, but the common man's participation or the outputs are not needs to be implemented. We have many theories, but in the practical things needs to be materialized. And also he mentioned what are the challenges particularly we are facing, not only in India but also different parts of the world, how we can in a collaborative way we can do it, we can work together for a good cause. It was basically his views. Thank you so much, Dr. Sarma. And may I now invite Mr. Aniket ji, Dr. Aniket ji from Sri Aurobindo College, that is from West Bengal. One of the most historic places, that Alipur jail was is the place. Dr. Anikeshji is representing from the West Bengal, is an academician and ardent lover of the teachings of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. May I request Dr. Anikeshji to kindly speak on this occasion, please?
Speak in English because
Vande Mataram, Pranam everyone, Pranam Divine Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Thank you, Kishorji. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Kishorji. Thank you, Dr. Really, Sri Aurobindo Integral Study and Research Forum takes a pivotal initiative to organize such symposium. And I thought, as per the poster, this is very first initiative to address such. Today, the International Day of Democracy, and this initiative is really pragmatic and very essential, I thought. The United Nations General Assembly announced this day, 15th, to emphasize the global significance of democracy. It serves as a reminder that democracy is not merely a fixed condition. Really, democracy is not something which is stagnant, but it is an ongoing pursuit, I think. The International Day of Democracy is celebrated around the world, and is there already, Dr. Tripathi told, every year there is a theme, and this year, of course, it is on democracy and AI, the uses of AI. And this initiative is to strengthen and promote the democracy again and again. The International Day is an opportunity to review the state of democracy around the world each year, highlighted in many things like sustainable development and democracy, and the civil society's voice and the common citizens' voice for the democracy. So the continuous process and initiatives will strengthen the real spirit of the world. I think democracy is not best, but better. So we have to take initiative to make more strengthen. And of course, I want to speak on IPU, Inter-Parliamentary Union. This is an organ of United Nations, and their tagline is very interesting. Their tagline is Inter-Parliamentary Union for Democracy for Everyone. This organization, what they told to address this day, our support for International Democracy Day stems from our core belief that democracy requires the participation of all citizens. It is an opportunity to highlight the important role of parliaments and to celebrate their capacity and mandate to deliver on justice, peace, development, and human rights. Our work on International Democracy Day is part of our effort to build democracy. It is very good word, to build democracy, and core words also. Now I want to look back to our ancient India. Ancient India was the home of various forms of republican governments. We heard about Ganarajya and also Sangha. Not only that, I could remember there is a hymn, Sangha Chaddang Shangvo Dadhan Sangvo Manansi Janatam Deva Bhagan Yatha Purve Sanyanana Upasate, like that. And this is the core vibes of this hymn tells about the core vibes of democracy. And now I want to proceed to a book. Renowned historian J.P. Sharma wrote a book, Republics in Ancient India. We could get a complete picture how democratic structure and concept were exercised then. Already Professor Sharma told about the um, incident related with Chanakya and Chandragupta. Of course, it is an instance of democratic
वही है क्या
practice,
पता नहीं क्या पढ़ी ही भेजे
practice in a affluent way. We could get many instances of ancient republics from here. There are the stepping stones of the contribution of India in the domain of democracy. Vaisali. Vaisali, it is now in Bihar. This Ganarajya was flourished in 6th century BC, and it was a part of Vriji or Vajji confederacy. Vaisali, part of Vriji or Vajji confederacy, already I told, one of the earliest known republics in the world. The Vajji confederation was composed of several clans, with the Lichavis being the most prominent. The governance was carried out through an assembly or sabha of representatives from various clans. It is believed that decisions were made collectively and the ruler was often a leader chosen from within the assembly. Like the democracy which we are practicing now, same format. This system allowed for broad participation in political affairs. Another Ganarajya, Malla Republic. It was also flourished in 6th century to 4th century BCE. It was situated in present-day Nepal and northern India. Another Shak Republic. No doubt it is situated in Nepal because Bhagavan Buddha was born in such a republic. And not only that, in Vaisali, Vaisali was a Ganarajya, I already told. Bhagavan Bardhaman was born there. So, Indian democratical practice have lots of contribution in many ways. Now, Lichavi Republic, it was also flourished in 6th century BC, was in northern India. It is also a part of Vriji or Vajji in Prakita, Vriji in Sanskrit. And now I will tell about Yodhya Republic. Rahul Shankirtan wrote a novel, Jai Yodhya, where the concept and the main theme is Ganarajya and the vibes or the essence of Ganarajya. And it was connected with Magadha, with relation. Ajatasattu was the nephew of Ganaraja Yodhya. And another Ganarajya is Panchala. It was flourished in 6th century BC. Presently, it is in Uttar Pradesh. And another is Cambodia, Cambodia Republic. It is in Afghanistan and the few parts of Pakistan and India. It was also flourished in 4th century BC. And another is Malabar Republic. It was flourished in 4th century BC. It is in Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. These are few important Ganarajya in ancient India. And what message they have given us First thing, assemblies, sabha or samiti. Second thing, collective leadership. And third thing, democratic participation. And now I will conclude with Prabhu Aurobindo's word. Not direct word, just nirjasha, the core essence. What I read him and on him, this is the essence on this topic. Sri Aurobindo's thoughts on India's contribution to promote or to propagate democracy were rooted in his belief that true democracy must evolve from a deeper spiritual foundation. He saw India's ancient wisdom, especially its recognition of the divine in every individual and its capacity for unity in diversity, as essential to shaping a more enlightened and ethical form of global democracy. Through its rich spiritual traditions and cultural values, India could inspire a new democratic order that emphasized not just political freedom, but also the inner freedom and growth of individuals and societies. Sri Aurobindo often referred to the concept of dharma, which guided the Indian political and social system historically. We are in dharmika tradition. In his view, democracy must be aligned with dharma, where political institutions reflect ethical and spiritual values, promoting the inner growth of individuals and the society as a whole. He believed that the highest form of democracy must be rooted in the recognition of divine presence in every individual. He argued that true democracy is not just about political systems or elections, but about respecting the dignity, freedom, and divinity of his human being. India, with its ancient spiritual traditions, was uniquely positioned to offer a deeper and more holistic understanding of democracy. Thank you and pranam again. I can't hear. Kishore sir, I can't hear.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Aniket ji, for presenting the ideas, particularly when we talk about the Sabha and Samiti. And you mentioned about the famous Sangathan Shukta, that is the Samgachadvam Samvadadvam Shambho Manamshi Janatam Deva Bhagam Yatha Purve Sham Janana Upasate. There are 4 beautiful mantras. And that is basically the last Shukta of the Rigved, that is 10,580 mantras divided into 1028 suktas. So the last sukta is basically the unity. It speaks about the sangatans, and you also spoke about the community leadership, democratic leadership, what is essential. Thank you so much for your inputs. I'd like to tell you, when Sri Aurobindo has written address the global issues, not only through the Indic wisdoms, but also Sri Aurobindo welcomed, opened the doors of other cultures, what is happening around the world. What Sri Aurobindo mentioned in his speeches, that is basically one of the inclusiveness of the cultures. On the earth, everyone, whether it is a human being or the nature, the plants or the animals, everyone has a specific role to play, and also they are contributing the universal phenomena. So when Sri Aurobindo talked about the democratic ideas, what India has gifted, Sri Aurobindo has also simultaneously addressed many specific issues what the world has given to India actually. Especially, for example, you take the Indian constitution, it has been taken from many of the constitutions of the world. When Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar was forming the Indian constitution, they coined many of the ideas from other constitutions. So it is not taking the principles from other constitutions, but also they have welcomed the ideas of the people of the other nations. So it is basically one earth, many nations actually. So we are only separated in our mental consciousness. But in a cross-cultural studies, things are more open. So now we would like to listen to Mr. Marcelo from Brazil, and Madam Banjilaji. She is an academician, particularly teaching in the University of Berumpubo. And during their last visit in the last month, we had a wonderful discussion. And when we talk about this international relations, you take the example of BRICS. BRICS, basically Brazil also plays an important role maintaining the BRICS relationships. And when we talk about, since it is an international day of democracy, we have to focus on many of the international things, what is happening around the world. So, and we are very much fortunate, I can say my elder brother and my sister, Mr. Marcelo ji and Vanija ji from Brazil. So they reached safely and they joined for this initiative. Many of other programs also we will do. So may I request Mr. Marcelo ji to kindly speak on this auspicious occasion, please.
Namaste to all. It's a great pleasure talk to these great personalities with this meeting in this day of democracy. We will explain for all our talk at the moment for this day. We create around the world an international community, Sri Aurobindo Mira, for all freely. And at the moment, I'm not only a founder of this institution, many persons around the world works for expanding the teachings and the views of Mother Sri Aurobindo. At the moment, I invite my great teacher and friend, Mr. Walter Maverino from Uruguay. He lives in Barcelona and is a writer and a great personality in the world, talking about a new moment for the earth. I invite my wife to read to you and to all because I asked my glass in the airplane. I lost a few days ago, and it's not possible to me read, and my wife will, Vanessa, read to us. When Vanessa stop our lecture, I invite Mr. Walter Maverino for finish our lecture.
Thank you so much, Madam Munijaji. You are most welcome. Shall I open that PPT you sent me?
Yes, please.
Okay, just 1 second. Yeah, it is now on.
Yes, that's okay. Jai Ma for everyone. I
Okay.
will read and explain the slides, the PowerPoint.
Vasudevya Kutumbakam.
Yes, you can pass to the first slide. Yes, that one. The first citation of Sri Aurobindo. Yes, that. Yes, thank you so much. So let's start with a quote from Sri Aurobindo, taken from the book The Ideal of Human Unity. And he says, the aim of the religion of humanity was formulated in the 18th century by a sort of primal intuition. That aim was, and it is still, to recreate human society in the image of three kindred ideas: liberty, equality, and fraternity. The French Revolution, with its slogan of liberty, equality, and fraternity, inspired the West. Sri Aurobindo teaches the greatness of these ideas when raised to their highest spiritual sense and realize it in the light of the spirit, far beyond the materialisms found in most Western countries. India, Bharat, the homeland of knowledge, jnana, vidya, can help the world reach the summit of these ideals, to create a full and abundant life for all, crowned by the delight of being, Amrita, Sat Chit Ananda, the bliss of existence. On its light, the sage seers, the Indian rishis, declare that there is an invisible law leading all things, the Sanatana Dharma. Mother India has always flourished in eternity for all human peoples, not just for herself. Sri Aurobindo declared, where did India find the foundations of her culture? Where did she investigate and experience and realize the source of this Sanatana Dharma as a sage guide to the path of life, facing all challenges through history? The master who knows and sees was and will be the representative of the incarnate divine. India has widely produced and manifested in its glorious past the encounter with transcendent spiritual truth, where the master planted and established his life, your mind, in the immortal light of spirit, in Brahman, inside, in all things that one inhabits. India, in the homeland of Sanatana Dharma, which runs like the Ganges, nourishing not only the nation, but the whole world. Established in the truth of spirit, were born in it great beings, avatars, and minds enlightened and nourished by the Sanatana Dharma. This must be its peculiar manifestation. Tradition and teaching must lead to self-knowledge and accordingly justify the exercise of inner mastery. Perhaps it is the path of the good government that the Greeks exalted so much in an attempt to administrate the Greek polis. The ideal of democracy is that power is exercised by people, for the people. Can the great mass of mankind decide through their representatives to decide their destinies? Today, we are gathering to celebrate the advent of democracy. Is the democracy capable of raising humanity to perfection? We have created ideals, policies for the domain of life, and we hope that they will enrich us and that through this system, we will be free. Which government is capable of being the necessary measure? How can collectivity achieve higher consciousness? In 3 aphorisms, Sri Aurobindo deals with the theme of democracy. Nothing better than getting to know Sri Aurobindo for himself. The next slide, please. The next one is the first aphorism. 340, the aphorisms of democracy. So in these first aphorisms of democracy, Sri Aurobindo says, democracy was the protest of the human soul against the allied despotism of autocrat, priest, and noble. Socialism is the protest of the human soul against the despotism of plutocratic democracy. Anarchism is likely to be the protest of the human soul against the tyranny of a bureaucratic socialism. A turbulent and eager march from illusion to illusion, from failure to failure, is the image of European progress. And another aphorism, the next one, please. Sri Aurobindo says, democracy in Europe is the rule of cabinet minister, the corrupt deputy of the self-seeking capitalist masked by the occasion forehead of a wavering populace. Socialism in Europe is likely to be the rule of the official and policemen masked by the theoretic sovereign of an abstract state. It is chimerical to inquire which is the better system. It will be difficult to decide which is the worst. And the final one, the final aphorism, 342, Sri Aurobindo says, the gain of democracy is the security of the individual's life, liberty, and goods from the caprice of the tyrannic one and the selfish few. Its evil is to decline of the greatness of humanity. And the mother, the next one, when she commented the aphorism, she told us this small phrase: all human governments are a falsehood and a chimera, or a chimera. One can hope that one day the earth will be governed by truth. Only in the Supreme Lord makes this truth evident to all. In the land of the Sanatana Dharma, in the light of the Mother, creation is not a blind chance. We will always be subject to the human cycle. You have already read that this masterful work of Sri Aurobindo, of social and political thoughts, in which Sri Aurobindo disinvolves the path of human society and its collective journey through time. Sri Aurobindo sees that humanity is a vicious circle that is the always return to the hierarchy, always to a more luminous measure, and then returns to steps we realize with imperfection of vision. It is a fact that Mother pointed out democracy protects us from oppressors. But does it protect us from ourselves? Sri Aurobindo pointed out that the great evil in man is inertia and ignorance, and that India has always been the homeland of knowledge. He aspired to see the young people and children of India and the world as masters of himself, agents of human transformation. I bring to you the Sanskrit term that should guide our humanity to the better society.
Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
Humanity is one family, and it's the family we are all one. And it is in the human unity that the keys that will open the doors of a brighter future are found. We are the one that manifests itself in multiplicity, and that can only achieve its integrate harmony if we experientially realize, each man on earth, the light of the Spirit in our deeds. This is the solution seen by Sri Aurobindo in the ideal of human unity, which we quote for final reflection. The next one, the final one, please. Yes, it's brotherhood, that real key to the triple gospel of the idea of humanity. The union of liberty and equality can only be achieved by the power of human brotherhood, and it cannot be found in anything else. So let's meditate with that flower that Mother says to us that symbolize progress, and remember that also like humans are progressive, evolving in matter, the idea of democracy must also experience progressive change by opening to the light of the Spirit.
Thanks. I invite Mr. Walter Maverino.
Well, good afternoon. We want to send our felicitation to Kisam Kumdra Tripati, and
Most
we're
welcome,
very
most
grateful
welcome.
to Marcelo Fortuna for the invitation.
Thank
Most
you.
welcome, most welcome, sir. Most welcome.
Bien.
Dale.
Como tuve muy poco tiempo para preparar,
So with the time I had to prepare,
felizmente haré una síntesis desde el corazón.
I will do a brief synthesis from my heart.
Quiero empezar citando al maestro Moria,
I would like to start with a quote from the Master Moria
que en su libro Jerarquía
in the book Hierarchies.
dice cómo se define
He says, how do we define
la entrada en el sendero del servicio.
the beginning of the path of service?
Primero,
First of all,
renuncia al pasado
renounce to the past
y todo el esfuerzo hacia el futuro.
and all effort to the future.
Dos,
Second,
realización del maestro en el corazón.
realization of the master in the heart.
Tres,
Third,
rechazo al miedo,
reject fear,
porque al estar armado por el Señor,
because if you are with the Lord,
uno es invulnerable.
you are invulnerable.
Cuatro,
Fourth,
abandonar la condena,
let go condemnation,
porque el que se esfuerza hacia el futuro
because the one who has effort to the future
no tiene tiempo
doesn't have time
para preocuparse por la basura del ayer.
doesn't have time to take care of the garbage from yesterday.
Quinto,
Fifth,
ocupación de todo el tiempo
the occupation of time
con trabajo para el futuro.
must come with work for the future.
Sexto,
Sixth,
júbilo por el servicio
joyfulness for service
y la ofrenda total de uno mismo
and the total offering of the self
para el bienestar del mundo.
for the well-being of the world.
Séptimo,
Seventh,
esfuerzo espiritual hacia los mundos distantes,
spiritual effort through distant worlds,
como el sendero que ha sido predestinado.
because the path has been pre-fated.
8.
Eighth,
Un espíritu así,
a spirit like this,
A,
A,
está listo para el servicio.
is ready for service.
B,
B,
sabrá dónde levantar la espada por el Señor.
will know when the weapon will be needed for the Lord. The sword, sorry.
C,
C,
hablará desde el corazón.
it will talk from the heart.
Ok, entonces, vamos a citar muy brevemente a algunos maestros espectaculares que han dado una lección extraordinaria a la humanidad que todavía no ha sido aprehendida con H.
He will quote some masters that are very important for humanity that haven't been
practicada.
practiced yet.
1. Sobre la conciencia.
One, about consciousness.
El doctor David Hawkins,
David Hawkins,
el número 1 en el planeta en este tema,
the number one in this topic,
describe en su libro La explicación del mapa de la conciencia
describes in his book the explanation of the map of consciousness,
cómo el 80% de la humanidad
how 80% of humanity
está en el estado de ignorancia.
it's in a state of ignorance.
Y solo un 20%
And only a 20%
avanza en los estados positivos,
it's coming forward through positive states.
que en una escala de 0 a 1000
In a scale from 1 to 1,000,
está en el 200 hacia arriba,
it's in the 200 to up,
donde 1000 es avatar,
where 1,000 it's an avatar,
Krishna, Buda, Cristo,
like Krishna, Buddha, and Christ,
y donde 0 a 100
and from 0 to 100,
está el 80% de la humanidad
we find the 80% of humanity
y el 95% de los políticos y de los líderes sociales que pretenden gobernar a las naciones y al mundo.
in which scale we find our politics and leaders of the world.
No es una opinión.
This is not an opinion.
Los estados de conciencia se definen
The states of consciousness are defined
por el comportamiento de las personas.
by the conduct of a person.
Por lo tanto, la mentira,
Therefore, lying,
la corrupción,
corruption,
los ataques malvados a sus colegas
evil attack to other colleagues,
y todo lo que ya sabemos de memoria
and what we see every day,
refleja los más bajos estados de conciencia.
it's a reflection of low states of consciousness.
Por lo tanto,
Therefore,
esa gente
these people
no puede cambiar la democracia ni puede cambiar el mundo.
isn't able of change of democracy or changing the world.
El cambio en la humanidad va a venir dado
The change for humanity will come,
y por lo tanto en la democracia
therefore, in democracy,
por el 20% que está por sobre los 200 en estado de conciencia.
from the 20% that is in a higher level of consciousness.
Pero a su vez, como muchos están recién saliendo del estadio más bajo, solo el 4% de la humanidad
And because so many people is still in a low state of consciousness, only 4% of humanity
son los que entienden la sabiduría, el amor incondicional y la unidad.
are the ones to understand wisdom, love, consciousness of humanity.
Exacto. Por lo tanto, ahí está. Honrar el trabajo de Sri Aurobindo,
By honoring the work of Sri Aurobindo,
que ustedes conocen perfectamente, pero la vida divina,
like divine life
y el ideal de la unidad humana
and the ideal of human unity
deberían ser textos de estudio obligatorio
should be mandatory
para cualquier individuo que pretenda gobernar a otros.
as a text of study for any kind of individual that is pretending to govern another one.
Políticos, alcaldes, presidentes, cualquier individuo en ese nivel tendría que tener esta formación. Como no la tienen, tenemos lo opuesto.
Politicians should have this formation, but because they don't have it, they rule with another sets of rules.
En nuestra próxima obra, La Gran Invocación 3,
In our next work, The Great Invocation 3,
incluimos los 8 puntos clave del plan divino.
we are including the 8 points, the 8 keys for the divine plan.
No lo mencionaremos hoy,
I won't say it today,
pero la humanidad necesita saber cuáles son esos puntos.
but humanity needs to know what these points are.
Y hasta el día de hoy
And to the day,
no le han sido ni siquiera comentados, mucho menos enseñados.
they haven't been commented and least taught.
Hemos creado la UNCIT,
We've created la UNCID,
Unidiversidad Mundial
in one university worldwide
para la evolución de la conciencia
for the evolution of consciousness
y para la transformación humana, organizacional y social.
and the human transformation and social transformation.
Por supuesto, allí los libros y las enseñanzas de Sri Aurobindo y Madre,
It comes clear that the teachings of the Mother and Sri Aurobindo,
de Moria,
of Moria,
Kutumi,
Kutumi,
Saint Germain,
Saint-Germain,
el maestro Duhal Kul
the Master Duhal Kul,
y David Hawkins, entre otros,
David Hopkins, and others,
como Rudolf Steiner, etcétera, tendrán un lugar absolutamente preferente.
they will have a privileged space.
La unidiversidad trabajará 24 horas día,
The university will work 24 hours a day,
365 días año,
all the year,
transmitiendo gratuitamente
in a free transmission
a todo individuo en cualquier lugar del planeta que quiera conocer estas enseñanzas sublimes.
to every human in the world that would like to approach himself to these divine teachings.
Porque hasta ahora han sido transmitidas a través de libros,
Because from now we acknowledge them through books.
que en aquel momento, siglo XX,
In the 20th century,
que fue el siglo más prolífico en enseñanza de sabiduría,
the most abundant one in wisdom,
ahora la tendrán disponible en vídeos
now they will have a disposition of videos
y en podcast
and access to podcasts
para que puedan acceder de momento en 3 idiomas:
in 3 languages:
inglés,
English,
portugués,
Portuguese,
español.
and Spanish.
Con el tiempo iremos avanzando con otros idiomas que justifique que estas enseñanzas sean transmitidas. La idea es cubrir el planeta de todos los países democráticos para que reciban esta información.
The idea is to send this message to all democratic countries throughout the world.
Ahora, el tema central de esta exposición:
Now, to the center of the exposition,
la democracia en el mundo, tal cual está definida como democracia,
democracy in the world as we know it now,
el gobierno del pueblo por el pueblo,
the government of the people by the people,
no existe en todo el planeta,
it is not a reality and existent in all the world.
excepto en un país,
Only in one country,
Suiza.
Sweden.
Allí hay democracia directa.
There we find direct democracy.
El pueblo vota prácticamente 2 veces al mes
We find the people voting 2 times a month
sobre todos los temas relevantes.
in relation about every relevant topic.
Y los políticos
And politicians
están al servicio de esas decisiones del pueblo.
are at the service of the decisions of the people,
Y no, como ocurre ahora, imponiendo sus ideologías
and not the way around, an imposition of ideology,
que van normalmente en contra de los intereses del pueblo.
which normally go doesn't go with the interest of the people.
Entonces, nuestra propuesta es una sola:
Our proposal is one.
trabajar cada día por que la democracia directa
May we work every day
sea la única expresión de democracia en el planeta.
for that we have a direct democracy as an only expression in the planet.
Nosotros estimamos que entre el año 2025
We have an estimate for 2025
y 2175,
and 2175,
que es el periodo que en la red mundial de la gran invocación creemos que es el adecuado
this is a period that we think it's available from the
para
Great Invocation,
que se manifieste el plan divino.
or have a manifestation of the divine plan.
Una obra de inmediata publicación también es el quinto sector,
We also have another work of immediately publication, the fifth sector,
que está asociado a otra obra que se llama Erradicando
in association to another work that's called
Erradicando,
Eradication,
eliminando los 55 tumores malignos que tiene la humanidad.
the 52 tumors, malign tumors of the humanity.
Esos tumores malignos fueron inoculados a la humanidad en los últimos siglos,
These malign tumors were put to humanity,
especialmente en las últimas décadas,
especially in the last decade,
por parte de los superricos que gobiernan el planeta desde las sombras.
coming from the super rich that are governing the planet from the shadows.
Por lo tanto, la mayoría de los partidos políticos y gobernantes están al servicio de esa minoría.
So we find governments and politicians at the service of this minority,
Y no de los pueblos que los eligen.
and not at the service of the people that has chosen.
¿Qué es lo que tiene que ocurrir para que haya ese gran cambio en la humanidad?
What must happen for this great change in humanity?
Nueva educación para la vida.
We need a new education for life,
Y en ese sentido recomendamos encendidamente que conozcan la obra extraordinaria de una mujer, justamente la madre de este ángel, llamada Noemí Paimal.
in that sense. Our recommendation is to know the work of Noemí Paimal,
Que ha fundado Pedagogía con 3 O, 3.000, 4.000 y 5.000,
the founder of Pedagogy 3000, 4000, and 5000,
y Multi-U por la paz,
and the Multi-U for la Paz.
con lo cual trabajan con varios septenarios, el más importante de todos, de 0 a 7 años, con los niños,
Working with kids from 0 to 7 years
y con los jóvenes.
and with the youth.
La otra cosa que tiene que ocurrir es que se necesita una nueva economía
We also need a new economy
de cooperación y prosperidad compartida.
of cooperation and abundance for all.
Si el 1% de la población mundial
If only 1% of the human population
tiene el 90% de la riqueza del planeta,
has 90% of the wealth of the planet,
ese legado siniestro demuestra que la democracia no está al servicio de los pueblos,
we have a recognition that democracy is not at the service of the people,
sino al servicio de la minoría que lo decide todo.
but at the service of a majority that is deciding everything.
Todo esto es parte de esas obras. La otra cosa que necesitamos es un nuevo orden social sin excluidos.
We need a new order in society without exclusion.
Estamos terminando, ¿eh?
We're about to finish.
Y la gran invocación dice
The Great Invocation says,
que la luz, la conciencia,
may light and consciousness,
el amor
love,
y para el amor hay algo muy especial en Acuario. En Piscis se nos dijo, amarás al prójimo como a ti mismo.
And with love, we find in the year of Pisces the saying that you will love the other like yourself.
Pero en Acuario,
But in Aquarius,
el amor es, amarás al prójimo
we find love saying you will love the other
más que a ti mismo.
more than yourself.
Solamente esa gente que vive el amor incondicional
Only the people that lives unconditional love
puede llevar adelante estos proyectos
can take these projects
que nunca serán postulados de ningún partido político en ningún país.
that cannot belong to a political party or a country.
Y aparte de la luz y el amor, dice que la luz, el amor y el poder
Besides from love, it says that love power
es el poder creador del espíritu
is the power of creation that comes from spirit
y la buena voluntad en acción.
and the goodwill in action.
Solo así
Only in this way
se podrá cumplir el plan divino en la tierra.
we can find the complement of a divine plan on earth.
Acuario, termino ya. Acuario
Aquarius
fue desde 1948
went from 2000 years ago
hasta 4108,
until 4108,
porque las eras todas tienen 2160 años.
because every era has 2160 years.
Entonces, esto no nos debería decir, bueno, tenemos 2000 años para que esto se concrete.
If this is a long time, we shouldn't take it for granted,
Sino dotar nuestro trabajo de un gran sentido de urgencia creadora
but to the contrary, we need to have a sense of your urgency in creation.
y esa es la invitación.
And this is the invitation.
Y termino.
I'll finish.
Yo echo de menos que en esta reunión haya pocas mujeres.
I see the absence of women in this meeting.
Puede haber más,
They should be more.
pero solo veo a Vanilza
I only see Vanilsa
y a Daime.
and Daime.
Ojalá haya más.
And may they be more.
Pero quiero terminar con una frase que practicamos en la UNCIT, donde el 90% de los miembros son mujeres. Dice, dilo.
I will finish with a phrase from the UNCIT with 90% are women.
Dice,
It says,
si quieres decir algo,
if you want to say something,
elige a un hombre.
choose a man.
Pero si quieres hacer algo,
But if you want to do something,
elige a una mujer.
choose a woman.
This is very interesting.
Gracias. Thank you very much.
It was really, thank you, Professor Walter. It was indeed a matter of great pleasure to listen to you. And thank you, Master Dami, Madam Dami, to translate this language. I'll tell you, there are more than 8,000 languages are being spoken all over the world, and it is divided into 18 families. And when we listen to the languages, maybe we may not understand what the meaning is, but the inner spirit of the language, when I was listening to you, I was just recalling like a seer, like a sage, revealing his experience. And the way you have mentioned about the democratic leadership, especially the change of the consciousness, which is the need of the hour actually. And what Mother says about that, there will be a time the universal lords, particularly the leadership or the controlling ruling, will be on the earth. And we will be glad to host one of your full-length lectures. And Madam Dami is there to translate. So I request my friend, my elder brother, Mr. Marcelo, and my sister Vanjila ji, we will organize one of the full-length lecture of Dr. Walter, and we will be eager to listen to you because the way you have interpreted, especially the critical issues of the democracy and what is exactly need. You see, like we some 20 or 25 people are addressing something on democracy, but it has its existence. At least some 25 people on the earth, they are talking about this. Thank you so much for this group. And I can see the spirit, what the scripture speaks about the matter and spirit, that the Shiva Shakti concept. And you rightly mentioned that in this meeting, there is less women. It's not like that. We have also some 6-7 women are there. And now it is the time to invite one of the most dynamic, Sweta Padmaji. As I mentioned in the beginning, they have been continuously working to the establishment of Igor to Force group, and also they have the school and ashram at the remote place. It is called the Koraput, and they are doing a lot of things actually. So I request Sweta Padmaji to kindly share her experience, what she thinks about this topic, and how they are practically implementing these ideas into reality. Yes. Thank you so much. I'm inviting one woman, sir. She will be sharing her experience on this occasion.
Yeah. Namaste and Vande Mataram to all. Kishorji, will you be please able to share the presentation I have shared with you?
Yes, yes, yes. I've already downloaded it.
Yes. So, indeed, it is a very, very enlightening session. And I think whatever I have been thinking of, whatever point was coming to my mind, somehow or the other, it was getting covered by the eminent speakers we have been listening as it now. So I'm very grateful to the Mother and Sri Aurobindo for providing such wonderful platform, this opportunity of meeting all of us together. Almost all the very valid points have already been covered. And when we choose something, when I first, to be very frank, when I heard the topic, it was really, it was indeed a point of research for all of us. The topic being India's contribution to the world of democracy. So when we come to India, when we talk about India's contribution, when we reflect on India's contribution to the world, I just get goosebumps because we find that her influence spans nearly every domain of human endeavor, from the realms of science, technology, mathematics to culture, medical science, economics, whatever you name it, and it's the source, the origin starts from India. India's contributions are profound and far-reaching. And that's how Sri Aurobindo has very eloquently stated in his vision of India's future, that India will be the guru of the world, guiding humanity with her deep spiritual insights. At the same time, as Kishorji also mentioned, that India, the more she has given, she has also received. She has also made the knowledge, the insights from the world as a part of her domain. Today, as we gather to explore the significant legacy of India, her contribution to the world of democracy, which itself, as we have been discussing till now, it embodies the principles of freedom and love. So what exactly is this principle? Where did it start from? And how India has contributed to it? I'll just give a glimpse of through some stories from, to start with, this ancient narrative from Ramayana. As we all know, when Lord Rama had already started on his exile, and Bharat, when so much things have already happened, he just, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you're audible, yes.
Okay, thank you. He just ran after his brother, and who was already in sage Vashishta's ashram. There, Bharata insisted on Rama to come back to the kingdom. and be the king, accept the throne. But Rama, as he was so much committed to the words he has given to his father, what his father had asked of him, so he said that if I go against it, I will be going against dharma. So now the decision was left to sage Vasishtha. Rama very diplomatically told him that whatever sage Vasishtha decides, it will be the final decision for me. And I'm sure he will decide out of his wit and what has been written in the Shastras. As per the knowledge in the Shastras only, we will get the decision from sage Vasishtha. At this, Vasishtha, when he was assigned this work, he said that when I look at the implorable love of Bharata towards his brother, it goes beyond my knowledge, goes beyond my wisdom to take any practical decision, to take the right decision. So this is not in my hand. Please excuse me. At that very instant, King Janaka has arrived there, and he says, Vasishtha requests Janaka to take up this matter in his hands. So when Janaka listens to both the cases, he says, I just bow down in front of Rama's commitment to his father's words. It cannot go, that no son in this world I have seen who is so much committed to his father's words and who is so much committed to the dharma. I bow down in front of his commitment towards his dharma. At the same time, when I look at Bharata, it is beyond my imagination that someone who would have so much love, so much compassion, and is ready to sacrifice so much for his elder brother, in front of Bharata's love, I find myself defeated. But at the same time, I would like to ask Bharata one question. When we love someone, we can give him the highest we want. What can you give for your brother to whom you love so much? So this Bharata answers that I have heard, and it is believed that there is nothing more precious than one's life. I'm ready to sacrifice my life for my brother. Janaka's reply was illuminating. He says, sacrificing one's life is an act of great bravery, no doubt. But don't you think it's a little easier task? Giving one's life is much easier. Can you please go to the next slides, Kishorji? You can go to the third slide directly.
This one?
Fourth slide. Yes, next slide, please. Next. So he says, giving your life is much easier than to know how to live with the one you love. So saying this, whom you love, you must be ready to sacrifice everything. And what you must do for him, what the highest satisfaction you can give to him is that to do what he wants, where his happiness lies, what he deserves, what he wants, what he exactly wants. To know that and to be able to fulfill that, that is the highest form of love. So, and hence Bharata bows down at the feet of Rama and asks, please, brother, till now I had been blinded by my selfishness. I didn't think of you, I only thought of my sacrifice. But I never thought what you really want. And that is how the story continued. So this, I would say for me, I got goosebumps because it was for me, the true democracy lies here. It lies in giving, not merely in receiving. This story encapsulates the essence of true democracy, living for the sake of others, understanding their needs, and finding joy in selfless service. It is a lesson that India has imparted to the world through her spiritual heritage. Historically, as we have been discussing till now, the principles of democracy were well established in India. The ancient texts, right, from our Rig Veda, Atharva Veda, especially Rig Veda and Atharva Veda, they all mentioned about sabhas and samitis. This we have already discussed, so I'm not getting into this realm once again. Even the gods, the kings of the gods were decided on the majority votes. The Indra was being elected. So this has been a quite ancient tradition right from ages. But now, the point where we are in, what exactly is the present scenario? What are we facing? Are we actually getting the freedom which we have always aspired for? So here, then again, Mother says that now everything needs to go beyond. In the process of evolution, as we know that Sri Aurobindo has come to take us one step ahead in the process of evolution. And at every moment, at every point of time, it is our duty. It's to be conscious for that change, to receive that change. Because if we are not ready to accept the change, that the instrument which we are riding in becomes old and obsolete. That is what Mother says when she saw in a vision, that she has seen it very clearly, that the system, the government, now it has become old and obsolete. It has to undergo a change. And how it will go? What is the barrier that has resulted in this situation? It is, as we have been discussing, dear friends, it has been our own egoism and ignorance. That has been the true barriers. As Sri Aurobindo quotes in one of his statements, it is my most favorite and beautiful quote. He says that the whole world yearns for freedom. The whole world yearns after freedom. Yet each creature is in love with his chains. What are these chains? Although we want freedom, we want to be free, we want to be liberal, but we are not able to be. Why? What are the chains that is binding us? That is what Shranda says, the sense of security only for self. That has bound us to ourself only, and that has become a barrier in our progress. That's why Mother says now the time has come to go beyond a step, beyond our limitations. Whatever we can see right now, whatever we can see, how much ever we can think, whatever ideas we have to go a step ahead, beyond everything, beyond our senses. So one of the major barriers that Mother says that if we stick to an idea, when we love, when we are fascinated by some idea, we just refuse to go for any other. We are so much adamant, we get so stuck up with one such idea that becomes a limitation, and that limits our progress. As the Mother says, when we start thinking collectively instead of individually, so then we can take all the ideas together and form something new, something different. Here I would like to quote cite an example from a speech that I had heard from our Honorable Minister, Cabinet Minister Shri Nitin Gadkari ji. He's saying that there's a very famous and the most beautiful formula which we have always grown up with in algebra, that is a plus b whole square gives it equals to a square plus b square plus 2ab. So in this context, he actually wants to represents that if he wants to say that if A and B, if we they represent an idea. When these ideas, they individually, when they give their maximum and they combine together, what results is that twice the effort that has been generated from these two ideas. When all these combined together, we get the wholesome result. So if we take democracy, pluralism, capitalism, all together, can we go to the next slide, please? All this together when we take, then Sri Aurobindo says that every idea, each activity, each practice holds a truth. Next slide, please, Kishorji. So every idea, it expresses a particular truth. So only when they are integrated, it's only then that they fulfill, they go towards perfection. It is only then that the highest truth will be manifested. And otherwise, whatever we do, how much we do by our human mind, by whatever effort we give, it becomes utter waste if it is not required, if it is not the need of the hour. And one last point which I would like to come to now is which is another important factor in democracy, which Mother has said why it has become a failure. Next slide, please, Kishorji. That is the need of authority. We have always wanted to snatch something from others, or otherwise we just want that others should give us, which actually isn't the principle of democracy or communism or freedom or love. Here I would like to cite a wonderful example from sage Vasishtha and Vishwamitra, which Sri Aurobindo has also written as a story in his early cultural writings in Bengali, which has been translated. I will try to make the story short. So we know that Vishwamitra was a king and he had sacrificed his kingly life and conducted many tapasyas to become a rishi. Then he still continued his tapasya. He wanted to become Brahmarshi. He wanted to be addressed as Brahmarshi. And he was in such a rage, he was in such a passion to become Brahmarshi that the gods told to Brahma that you have to address him as Brahmarshi, otherwise he's going to create havoc. Then Brahma goes to sage Vishwamitra and he says that today onwards you are addressed as Brahmarshi. Then Vishwamitra says that I'm not satisfied. I want sage Vasishtha to address me as Brahmarshi. But Vasishtha never did that. So out of his rage, Vishwamitra killed his 100 sons. And once when Vasishtha and his wife Devi Arundhati were in her home, Arundhati said that we are running out of salt. Can you please get salt from somewhere? Then sage Vasishtha is saying, why? Our very own neighbor, dear Vishwamitra, why don't you go to him and beg for some salt? Devi Arundhati gets so awestruck and she gets so panicked and she says, what are you saying? He who has killed my 100 sons, whom we loved so much, you are asking me to go and beg salt from him? Then sage Vasishtha says, Devi, don't say like that. I love him so much, you know, I love him so much. Then Arundhati says, what are you talking? If you indeed loved him so much, then why didn't you call him Brahmarshi then and there itself? It would have solved all the matter. Then sage Vasishtha is saying, it is only because my love for him that I didn't tell him Brahmarshi till now. Because if I would have called him as Brahmarshi, his chance of becoming the Brahmarshi would have been gone. He still has a chance to become Brahmarshi. At the same time, sage Vishwamitra, who was at his home conducting penance and tapasya, he was in full rage and he thought that now I will go. He took a vow that I will go and kill Vasishtha then and there if he listened what sage Vasishtha was saying to his wife. He immediately fell at his feet and said, I'm so ashamed of myself. Please forgive me for my petty thinking, for my petty meanness, for my thought, for my ideas. At that time, Vasishtha is lifting him up and saying, "Rise, O Brahmarshi." This created another bit of shame in Vishwamitra. He says, "I don't deserve this anymore. I am not a Brahmarshi. Please don't make me feel more ashamed." Then Vashishta is saying that, "No, today I never say anything lie. Today you have actually achieved the post of Brahmarshi. Actually, you have gained victory over your self-conceit. That's why I have addressed you. I don't feel ashamed in acknowledging you as Brahmarshi." So here, there is another point which I felt has come out for true love, for true democracy or true authority. It will come to you when you actually deserve it, when you are fit for it. There is a supreme power. There is a truth consciousness who decides everything, who knows when to give, how much to give, what to give. But if we try to take it by force, if we try to take it by authority, that is where we lose the truth. That is where we lose our true thing, what we actually deserve. That's why Mother has very boldly said in the other slide, if you please switch on to the next slide, where she has boldly stated that the authority is a true authority. If you want a garment, you must have the power to make it a real power. If you do not have this power, well, you remain naked. No device is there to make up for the lack of power. Here, not once in a million times is authority an expression of something true. So Mother says it's an expression of something true, not the expression of our ego. It should not be ego-based. It should not be selfishness-based. It should be based on truth, the truth consciousness. So here Sri Aurobindo has also given so much emphasis that now the time has come to go beyond politics in order to achieve in order to know what true politics is, to go beyond democracy in order to know what true democracy is, in order to go beyond every activity, beyond every practices to know what exactly they are meant for. When all these practices are harmonized together, it is only then that they will fulfill their truest purpose. Like when we see a car, there are different parts in the car and every part is inevitable. But if these parts are left independent of each other to drive on their own.
Swetaji, kindly finish it. Kindly conclude in 2 minutes. We have 2 more speakers, so yes. We can have a little discussion also. Yes.
Yes, we are almost done.
Yes.
So that's what I just wanted to conclude with. What Sri Aurobindo says is that whatever I say that spirituality is the only politics and Sanatana Dharma is the only Dharma that will rule India, what he has meant. And so I will like to conclude with few lines from Savitri, as Sri Aurobindo very beautifully says that, if you can take to the next slide, please. Sri Aurobindo says, "Only when eternity takes time by the hand, only when infinity waits the finite's thought, can man be free from himself and live with God. And when man will actually be free from himself, it is only then when he is truly free, because he is united with his vaster self, that is the divine alone. And that is when we realize the true democracy. And this is the truth that India is destined to show to the world. This is the truth. This is the light that India has been destined to show to the whole world." Thank you so much. Namaste once again.
Yeah, it was a wonderful talk actually, and you have referred many of the stories, especially when we talk about the Ramayana. I'll tell you, Ramayana has many versions. Even if in Southeast Asian countries you can find more than 100 versions of the Ramayana. And of course, these moral stories has contributed for the real defining the Indian culture. Even if when we see the Indian Constitution, we find some beautiful paintings, portraits made from referring to many scriptures. And you mentioned about the Sri Aurobindo's concept of this true leadership, particularly the democracy, which needs to be addressed. And it is not only the ancient talks, because new ideas, new ideas also requires new expressions and new thoughts. New words are needed to express new thoughts. So you have critically addressed the issues related to democracy and how it can be realized in a more integrated way. Thank you so much. So now we have Mr. Vishwaranjan ji. He is the president of Jagadguru Yoga Bharat Foundation. It is basically an institution which works in Orissa and other parts of India and many other countries also. I'll tell you, Mr. Vishwaranjan is just like my younger brother. And 20 years ago, we dreamed to do some social activities. Basically, a student of the pharmaceutical sciences, he left his career actually more than 20 years. He has been working for the social upliftment, even the schools, communities, colleges, many things. So I request Mr. Vishwaranjan ji, Dr. Vishwaranjan Rath, to kindly say a few words in this occasion. Mr. Vishwaranjan. Dr. Vishwaranjan Rath is there?
हाँ भाई नमस्ते.
Yes. Most welcome, Dr. Vishnu. You please open your video so that people can see you. Yes.
नमस्कार.
Please finish. Kindly, you have some 7 to 8 minutes. Kindly finish. Huh? You can speak in Hindi. I will translate. No problem. Yes.
ओम भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. तो आज का जो टॉपिक है कि इंडियाज कंट्रीब्यूशन टू द वर्ल्ड डेमोक्रेसी, तो ऑन द एव ऑफ इंटरनेशनल डेमोक्रेसी डे, तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा जो हमारा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है श्री अरविंद इंटीग्रल स्टडी एंड रिसर्च फोरम, उसकी तरफ से जो कार्यक्रम हुआ है उसके लिए हम स्वागत करते हैं. और स्पेशली किशोर भाई और उनके जो टीम है और जितने भी हमारे आज के जो वक्ता है उन सबको मैं सादर प्रणाम करता हूं. मैं डॉक्टर विश्वरंजन रथ. और आज का जो थीम था कि हमारा जो गणतंत्र, भारत का जो गणतंत्र है वो सारे विश्व को क्या मार्गदर्शन दे रहा है. तो अगर हम देखेंगे कि भारत का जो गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था ये केवल ये 1947 से नहीं हुआ है. अगर आप हमारे वेदों में देखेंगे कि वेदों में, ऋग्वेद में जो वर्णन है, जो ऐक्य मंत्र है कि ओम संग समिद्वसे वृषन्न अग्ने विश्व नेरा इलस्पदे समिध्य से सनो वसुन्यहर संगच्छद्वं संबदद्वं संभो मनासि जानतम देवा भागम यथा पूर्वे संजानान उपासते समान मंत्र समिति सत्समानि समानं मनः सहचित्तमेषां समानं मंत्र अभिमंत्र एव समानेन वो हविषा जुहोमि समानि व आकुतिः समान हृदयानि वह समानमस्तु वो नो यथा वह सुसहासति. तो ऐसे वेदों में जो मंत्र है वो दर्शाता है कि भारत में जो गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था की एक व्यक्ति नहीं, समूहवाद, जो परम पूज्य गुरुदेव हमारी पंडित श्री राम शर्मा आचार्य जो बोलते हैं कि व्यक्तिवाद में समूहवाद, उसके बारे में वेदों में उसके बारे में वर्णन था. तो गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था हमारी वैदिक एज में जो था, और उसके बारे में आप अगर रामायण में देखेंगे कि भगवान राम जी जो डिसीजन लेते थे तो उसमें अपनी प्रजा को भी ध्यान में रखते थे कि अहल्या को भी कैसे उन्होंने मतलब उनको कैसे उद्धार किया, और उनका जो जीवन शैली को देखेंगे, जो डिसीजन जितने भी लिए हैं, कैसे सुग्रीव को सपोर्ट किया. अगर वो सोचते थे कि बाली को सपोर्ट करेंगे तो आराम से वो रावण को जीत सकते थे, लेकिन उन्होंने सुग्रीव को सपोर्ट किया. तो ये गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था था. रामायण में अगर देखेंगे तो भगवान राम जी की जो जीवन है, या महाभारत में अगर देखेंगे कि भगवान कृष्ण जो डिसीजन लिए हैं कि कैसे उन्होंने कौरव पक्ष को सपोर्ट ना करके पंच पांडव को जो मतलब उपेक्षित हुए थे, अपनी देश से निकाल गए थे, उनको उन्होंने न्याय दिया। तो ये गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था था। ये हमारी कल्चर में था कि हमारी कल्चर में, हमारी रक्तों में, हमारी संस्कृति में गणतंत्र ही था। अगर आप देखेंगे शिवाजी महाराज के जीवन को, वो कैसे गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था में वो जो देश को वो जिस राज्य को मतलब कैप्चर कर रहे थे, दुर्ग फोर्ट को, तो उनको नारियों को कैसे सम्मान दे रहे थे। तो हमारी वेदों में जो है जत्र नारीस्तु पूज्यन्ते रमन्ते तत्र देवता, ये जो गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था में आजकल के सिचुएशन में हम जो गणतंत्र बोलते हैं, आज का स्थिति और उस समय देखिए कि रियल गणतंत्र कहाँ था। तो अभी इसके बारे में भी थोड़ा सोचना है। और हमारे इतिहास को देखेंगे तो भगवान बुद्ध के समय जो वैशाली नगरी था, तो उस समय कितना गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था था। और हमारा उड़ीसा में जो कलिंग था, जो कलिंग वार हुआ था, बोलते थे कि अशोक जो कलिंग वार हुआ था, उनके साथ जो युद्ध हुआ था, हमारा इधर भुवनेश्वर में एक दया नदी है, तो बोलते थे कि हमारा वहां उस समय कलिंग में जो गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था था, कोई राजा नहीं थे, समय रूप में एक अन्याय को प्रतिरोध करने के लिए सारे विश्व में एक बड़ा युद्ध हुआ था पहली बार, जो कलिंग युद्ध के नाम पे फेमस था। तो हमारी गणतांत्रिक जो व्यवस्था था वो समृद्ध था। पहले बहुत सारे उसके बारे में अगर वर्णन है, तो समय कम के कारण हम तो उसके पूरा डिटेल में नहीं जाएंगे। लेकिन 1947 में अगर आप देखेंगे कि भारत 15 अगस्त को जो स्वाधीनता हुआ, जो कि श्री अरविंद ने और पंडित श्री राम शर्मा आचार्य ने जो बोला कि भारत अभी राजनीतिक स्वाधीनता प्राप्त किया, लेकिन जब तक भारत आर्थिक स्वाधीनता प्राप्त नहीं करेगा, जब तक भारत आध्यात्मिक स्वाधीनता प्राप्त नहीं करेगा, तो हम सही रूप में उसको गणतंत्र नहीं मानेंगे। अभी देखिए कि भारत वर्ल्ड का 3rd लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमिक है, वर्ल्ड में 3 नंबर है। लेकिन अभी हमारा पर कैपिटल मतलब हर व्यक्ति का जो उसकी आय है, तो देखेंगे कि भारत का स्थिति 147 पोजीशन है वर्ल्ड जो स्थिति में। तो इससे पता चलता है कि यहाँ पर करोड़पति की संख्या कुछ बढ़ गया है, ये गणतंत्र नहीं है। एक सामूहिक रूप में एक छोटा सा आदमी, गांव का आदमी, वो कितना स्वावलंबन बना। आज देश का सबसे बड़ा अगर समस्या है बेरोजगारी को देखेंगे, तो ये समस्या अभी बढ़ रही है। अभी देखिए जो शिक्षा व्यवस्था को देखिए कि एक मतलब एक साधारण बच्चा अगर चाहेगा कि मैं एक बड़ा यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ने के लिए, उसके पास या बड़ा कॉलेज में अगर मेडिकल नीट में क्रैक कर लेता है, लेकिन गरीब बच्चा वो अच्छा कॉलेज में भी पैसा नहीं दे पा रहा है, क्योंकि उसका पर कैपिटल कम है। तो हमको आर्थिक स्वाधीनता भी प्राप्त करना चाहिए। ऐसी गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था होना चाहिए जहां पर हर आदमी को स्वावलंबन होना चाहिए। ऐसा व्यवस्था हमारे गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था में होना चाहिए। और आप देखिए कि भारत का क्या प्लस पॉइंट है। अभी भारत के चारों तरफ जो आसियान कंट्री है, पहले जो सार्क था और मोदी जी आने के बाद जो आसियान टीम तैयार किया, कि आप देखिए अफगानिस्तान को, पाकिस्तान को, नेपाल को, भूटान को, आप देखिए म्यांमार को, बांग्लादेश को, श्रीलंका को, मॉरिशस को, मालदीव को देखिए, तो उस कहां पर भी गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था अभी नहीं है। केवल भारत एक ऐसा देश है जहां पर गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था है। क्यों आप बोलेंगे? क्योंकि भारत को जो वैदिक सनातन धर्म है, जो बोलता है वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, ये एक ही धर्म है जो वसुधैव कुटुंबकम बोलता है। और दुनिया में कोई भी धर्म में ऐसा चीज नहीं है। यहूदी लोग आए, पारसी लोग आए, जो जितने भी लोग सारे वर्ल्ड से आए, सबको उन्होंने अपना लिया। ये भारत का बड़ापन है। और आप देखिए कि सारे वर्ल्ड में जो गणतंत्र देश है, तो केवल सारे विश्व में जो 195 जो देश है, उसमें केवल 19 देश है जहां पर गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था है। उसमें सबसे वर्ल्ड लार्जेस्ट गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था है भारत में। इसको इसीलिए बोलते हैं कि वर्ल्ड लार्जेस्ट डेमोक्रेसी। और उस लार्जेस्ट डेमोक्रेसी में अगर उसको डिवीजन किया जाएगा, तो 3 भाग में हम उसको डिवीजन करेंगे। एक कंजर्वेटिव डेमोक्रेसी, एक डेमोक्रेटाइजेशन ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी, एंड अभी इथनिक डेमोक्रेसी। तो अभी देखिए कि पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू जब भारत में पहले प्रधानमंत्री बने, तो उनकी समय में जो 47 से 52, 52 से 57, 57 से 62, तब अगर उस समय देखेंगे तो वहां उस समय था कि कंजर्वेटिव डेमोक्रेसी, मतलब हर आदमी के पास उस स्थिति नहीं पहुंचा जो पहुंचना था डेमोक्रेटिक आइडिया, उस समय नहीं था। क्योंकि उस समय लाइसेंस राज था और बैंक वगैरह में उतना फैसिलिटी आम आदमी को नहीं मिलता था, लाइसेंस राज था। और उसमें उसके बाद देखेंगे कि अगर लाल बहादुर शास्त्री का 2 साल को छोड़ दे, फिर उस आगे इंदिरा गांधी जी का सिस्टम में आप देखिए कि नेहरू जी का जो देश को चलाने की सिस्टम था, इंदिरा गांधी थोड़ा हटकर थे, तो उनके समय मतलब कंजर्वेटिव डेमोक्रेसी था, लेकिन वो अलग था। इसीलिए तो 1975 में आप देखिए कि उन्होंने इमरजेंसी डाल दिया, और उस समय एक महापुरुष आए, जयप्रकाश नारायण जी, जिनकी मूवमेंट के कारण, जेपी मूवमेंट जिसको बोलते हैं, उस मूवमेंट के कारण भारत में एक नॉन कांग्रेस गवर्नमेंट स्टार्ट हुआ मोरारजी देसाई के मार्गदर्शन में 1977 में। तो ये जो समय आया कि डेमोक्रेटाइजेशन ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी, उसके बाद आप देखेंगे कि कैसे राजीव गांधी जी आए, और राजीव गांधी से समय में उन्होंने तो संवैधानिक व्यवस्था को, सुप्रीम कोर्ट को, सबको बदल दिया। तो जो बानो केस में एक मतलब एक मुस्लिम महिला को जो मिलना चाहिए, जो स्वाधीनता अपना परिवार में वो चाहते थे, जो इकोनॉमिक स्ट्रेंथ उनको नहीं मिला, तो उन्होंने उसके लिए सुप्रीम कोर्ट का लॉ भी चेंज कर दिया। तो उस समय देखिए कि कंजर्वेटिव डेमोक्रेसी, जो डेमोक्रेटाइजेशन ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी, उसको कैसे मतलब अपनी राजनीतिक जो मसल पावर में किससे उनको नहीं मिला। और उसके बाद आप देखिए कि धीरे धीरे जो हमारा नरसिंह राव जी आए, और नरसिंह राव जी एक जो अच्छा स्टेप लिया, और विश्व में जो जगतीकरण, जो ग्लोबलाइजेशन मार्केट में भारत जो बोलते हैं कि वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, तो उसमें एंट्री किया, और अर्थनीति मनमोहन सिंह की मार्गदर्शन में, तो हम धीरे धीरे भारत में एक बदलाव हुआ। और उसके बाद अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी, उनको तो हम सलाम करते हैं कि उन्होंने एक बात बोला संविधान में, लोकसभा में, कि सरकार आएगी, सरकार जाएगी, पार्टियां आएगी, पार्टियां बदलेगी, लेकिन हमारे लोकतंत्र बचना चाहिए। ऐसी शब्द पहली बार अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी बोले, तो हम उनको नमन करते हैं कि ऐसी व्यवस्था जो बोलते हैं कि इथनिक डेमोक्रेसी के बारे में बोलते हैं। और आज के समय में देखिए कि प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी को हम प्रणाम करते हैं कि उनके मार्गदर्शन में भारत कैसे वर्ल्ड में एक सुपर पावर बना। और हमारा जो मिलित जाति संघ यूएन में आप देखिए कि भारत चाइना को सपोर्ट किया यूएन में, जो यूएनएससी में उसको पोजीशन दिया, लेकिन चाइना ने धोखा दिया हमको। और आज तक भी चाइना और 4 देश तो हमको सपोर्ट करते हैं कि अमेरिका, रशिया और फ्रांस और इंग्लैंड, कि भारत यूएनएससी में एक पोजीशन पाए, क्योंकि वर्ल्ड का सबसे बड़ा जनसंख्यक देश है, और हमारा वर्ल्ड का लार्जेस्ट डेमोक्रेसी भी हमारे पास है, लेकिन वो हमको सपोर्ट नहीं करता है। तो इसके लिए भारत को अभी ऐसा स्टैंड अप लेना चाहिए कि यूएनएससी में हम कैसे अपना मतलब बदलाव करेंगे, और उसको ब्रिस्क एक मॉडल होना चाहिए। ब्रिस्क के माध्यम से हमारी भारत हो, जापान हो, और जो ब्राजील हो, ऐसे देश उसमें सदस्यता, और साउथ अफ्रीका हो, ऐसे देशों को आगे आना चाहिए, और जर्मन भी आ सकता है। तो भारत में इस जो तो परिवर्तन होना चाहिए। और दूसरा चीज आपको बोलता हूं कि हमारे भारत में नारियों को वोट देने की अधिकार, आप देखिए अमेरिका में जो वोट देने का अधिकार, उसका 100 साल बाद वो नारियों को अधिकार दिया। फ्रांस बहुत बाद दिया, लेकिन भारत पहले दिन से, जब 1947 में उन्होंने नारियों को वोट देने की अधिकार दिया, ये भारत का बड़ापन है। और अभी मोदी जी ने, जो बिजू पटनायक हमारे उड़ीसा के जो चीफ मिनिस्टर थे, उन्होंने पंचायत राज व्यवस्था में 33% उन्होंने जो नारियों को जो संरक्षण दिया, कि एक नारी नेतृत्व ले सकती है। ये चीज अभी हमारा माननीय प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने संवैधानिक व्यवस्था में परिवर्तन किए, और महिलाओं को 33% जो संरक्षण व्यवस्था मिलेगा, ये हमारी मतलब गणतंत्र की व्यवस्था को और भी मौजूद बनाएगी। जो कि बोलते हैं कि नर और नारी एक समान जो व्यवस्था, हमारे परम पूज्य गुरुदेव बोलते हैं, जो बोलते हैं कि एकविंश शताब्दी नारी शताब्दी, जो इसको अभी मोदी जी के मार्गदर्शन में हम संवैधानिक व्यवस्था में उस चीजों को हमने देखा। और आप देखिए कि हमारी जो पंचायत व्यवस्था है, हमारे जो पंच प्यार है, हमें उनको कितना, हमारी जो पुराने कल्चर को देखिए कितने हम उसको रेस्पेक्ट देते थे। और जो 3 टायर में हमारा काम चलता है, चाहे वो पंचायत हो, विधानसभा हो, या लोकसभा व्यवस्था में देखिए, तो ये भारत में एक बड़ापन है कि जहां पर एक मछुआरा का बेटा डॉक्टर एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम वो भारत का राष्ट्रपति बनता है, एक चाय वाला का बेटा वो मोदी जी भारत के राष्ट्रपति बनता है। पहली बार भारत में एक आदिवासी महिला को द्रौपदी मुर्मू जी को, माननीय द्रौपदी मुर्मू जी को भारत की राष्ट्रपति बनाया गया। ये एक बहुत बड़ा कदम हमारी देश में हुआ। और इस साल जो 17th इंटरनेशनल जो डेमोक्रेसी डे है वो उसका जो थीम है कि हमारा इधर जो थीम है कि नेविगेटिंग आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस फॉर गवर्नेंस एंड सिटीजन एंगेज। तो आप देखिए कि जो आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस को कैसे आगे लेना चाहिए। और हमारी दो प्लस पॉइंट हमने कुछ बोला, और अभी गणतंत्र के बारे में बोलना चाहता हूँ कुछ नेगेटिव पॉइंट कि भारत में जो गणतंत्र व्यवस्था का सबसे बड़ा नेगेटिव पॉइंट है,
काइंडली कंप्लीट 2-3 मिनट्स।
जो नेगेटिव पॉइंट है वो देखिए परिवारवाद राजनीति। आज का जो देखिए भारत में जितने भी परिवारवाद राजनीति।
Vishwaranjan ji, here we are talking about India's contribution to the world, particularly the inner things which we are discussing. What actually the positive points India has given through its the inclusive cultures is, we're not talking about the politics of what is happening inside the country. It is basically what India has gifted to the world, particularly in the democratic things, and what India has also accepted. If you can focus on that, that will be wonderful. Just focus on the political things. Yes.
हाँ, तो मैं बोल रहा हूं कि इंडिया का देखिए जो जीरो है, जो इंडिया ने सारे विश्व को सिखाया कि जीरो को देखिए, जो समानता, सबको साथ लेने की, जो सबका साथ और सबका विकास और सबका आस्था को लेकर जो इंडिया का जो कल्चर है, वो हमारे जो जगन्नाथ जी का कल्चर है, वो कल्चर को भारत ने सारा विश्व को सिखाया कि हम हर आदमी को समानता से, एक जो सर्कुलर पॉलिसी है, एक जो वर्ल्ड में दो प्रकार की पॉलिसी है, एक लिनियर पॉलिसी है, लिनियर थिंकिंग, और एक सर्कुलर थिंकिंग, ये दोनों थिंकिंग है। और इंडिया का जो थिंकिंग है सर्कुलर थिंकिंग, सबको समानता देना चाहिए, ये केवल भारत सारे विश्व को दिया है। और सबको जो रिस्पेक्ट देने का, और समाज का सबसे निम्न वर्ग लोगों के पास हमको पहुंचना, ये जो कल्चर हमारी देश की है। और महात्मा गांधी जी ने जो बोला था कि हमको ऐसा देश बनाना चाहिए जहां पर नारी भी रात में सुरक्षित रह सकते हैं, छोटे बच्चों भी सुरक्षित रह सकते हैं, और बुजुर्ग लोग भी सुरक्षित रह सकते हैं, और वहां पर जो पर्यावरण व्यवस्था हो, पशु पक्षी हो, वो भी सुरक्षित रह सकते हैं। ये जो भावना हमारी यूथ के माध्यम से हम, और हमारी जो नेतृत्व के माध्यम से हम सारे विश्व को कहना चाहते हैं कि भारत अभी क्लाइमेट चेंज में एक लीडरशिप लेना चाहिए, और जो गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था में, और लोगों को सारे विश्व में एक गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था आना चाहिए। आप देखिए कि सारे विश्व में अभी 57 इस्लामिक कंट्री है, उसमें हमने देखा कि कौन सी भी कंट्री में अभी गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था नहीं है, लेकिन भारत एक ऐसा देश है जहां पर गणतांत्रिक व्यवस्था मजबूत है। क्यों? क्योंकि ये सनातन सिस्टम को फॉलो करता है। तो हमारी वैदिक सिस्टम में अभी जो ड्रॉबैक्स है, उसमें एक बड़ा ड्रॉबैक्स आ गया है कि हमारा एजुकेशन सिस्टम अभी पूरा डैमेज हो रहा है, और एजुकेशन सिस्टम को मजबूत करना पड़ेगा। और हमारी योग और नैतिक शिक्षा, वैल्यू एजुकेशन को लोगों के अंदर कैसे, हमारे जो डिसिप्लिन, पर्सनल डिसिप्लिन से लेकर हमारा सोशल डिसिप्लिन, उसके बारे में हमारा नया जनरेशन को सिखाना चाहिए। और इसी के माध्यम से बहुत सारी चीज तो हम बोलना चाहते थे। और जातिगत समस्या हमारा एक बड़ा ड्रॉबैक है, जातिगत समस्या ये हमारा एक बड़ा ड्रॉबैक है, हम इसको स्वीकार करते हैं, उसको बदलना चाहिए। आज भी वोट कास्ट के कारण पड़ती है, ये चेंज होना चाहिए। तो ये सब समस्या है। और हमारी देश बहुत बड़े बड़े समस्या, 1947 में पाकिस्तान के साथ वार, 1962 में चाइना के साथ वार, फिर 1971 में पाकिस्तान को साथ वार, और जिसके कारण बांग्लादेश प्रस्तुत हुआ, और उसके बाद 1999 में पाकिस्तान के साथ वार। इतना बड़ा बड़ा वार, लेकिन हमारा देश मजबूत के साथ खड़ा रहा। और देश में बहुत समस्या आया, 75 से लेकर हमारे, उसके बाद बड़े बड़े दंगे भी हुए, और लेकिन भारत मजबूत से खड़ा है। और हमारी जो कश्मीर से कन्याकुमारी लेकर, वहां से अरुणाचल प्रदेश से लेकर गुजरात तक, हम सब यूनिट है। और इसी भावना के साथ मैं मेरे वक्तव्य को विराम करता हूँ। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद किशोर भाई जी को और हमारा जो टीम है श्री अरविंद इंटीग्रल स्टडी एंड रिसर्च फोरम को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। नमस्कार। हमको सौभाग्य मिला इस प्लेटफॉर्म में कुछ बोलने के लिए। वंदे मातरम, वंदे उत्कल जननी, जय जगन्नाथ, नमस्कार।
Thank you so much, Dr. Vishwaranjan ji. You have very significantly addressed the critical ethos of this Indian democracy, which has been mentioned in the scriptures. You also pointed some significant areas like the role of women in Indian democracy. But you mentioned about that the neighboring countries and the Asian things, they do not have the democratic system. It's not like that. The neighboring countries, you take the example of Pakistan, Bangladesh, whatever their political situation is, in some of the Asian countries, the democratic system is still continuing. And when
मेरा कहने का मतलब था कि वहां पर कंटिन्यूटी नहीं है। जैसे भारत में कंटिन्यूटी है, वहां पर बीच बीच में डिक्टेटरशिप आ जाता है।
You see, oh, that's fine. But when we talk about the integral system, actually, you see, every human being has their own way of living the life. In such a condition, the countries also moves. We can understand the political conditions, the situations. And of course, you mentioned about the two stories from the Indic origin of the scriptures and many others. I can understand what you were talking about, the political things. And but what Sri Aurobindo speaks about, a new spirit of oneness that is immensely needed to understand the real spirit of unity, that is the essential things what India has gifted to. And thank you so much, Vishwaranjan ji. We will be joining soon for a special session of viewers. And I would like to read actually a small message by one of our eminent devotees from Sri Aurobindo Bhavan, Bangalore, Sri Ramesh ji. Due to some of the unavoidable circumstances, he was not able to join us, but he has sent a small message, and I want to read this. I start that Sri Aurobindo's vision for India's taking efforts in ushering in a new world spiritual democracy, that is the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and towards this India's effort in holding a very successful G20 event where an ideal was presented to entire group of world leaders who were personally present was one world, one country, and one future. This is nothing but building a strong spiritual foundation for new world democracy. This is nothing but building a strong spiritual foundation for new world democracy, which India is visibly and actively working. Sri Aurobindo says India is rising in the world to fulfill the most important task of fulfilling and spreading the message of Sanatana Dharma, the eternal truth, to the entire humanity. As the days go by, this world spirit will fulfill itself more and more with India and in the forefront. This is what I wanted to share my views with the group. And the other day when we were reviewing the contribution of India towards democracy, he suggested two things. India should make an organization in the name of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one world, one country, and one future, where all the problems of the world, political, social, economical, natural, etc., can be considered and suitable solutions be found through spiritual wisdom only. And that wisdom is contained in every line of Sri Aurobindo's version of Sanatana Dharma, the eternal truth. I would suggest to form a group who can deep into it, produce a research papers. Secondly, I would like India to invite each country to join the organization and contribute to get thoughts of peace, happiness, prosperity, knowledge for entire humanity. Problems of the world cannot be solved by present-day democracy and political diplomacy. Time has come for India to take a bold step further. He further mentions participants to choose one country, their choice to represent in the deliberations, and the person representing India should be the leader, guide who has knowledge of Sri Aurobindo and the mother's writing on the subject of forming a world union. This group will periodically meet and discuss all the current issues facing the world like war, politics, economic, social nature, etc., and solutions only in the light of Sri Aurobindo's writings. This will be a good beginning of this organization and a great research project. He concluded his message with one of the Sri Aurobindo's quotes: I say no longer that nationalism is a creed, a religion, a faith, I say that it is the Sanatana Dharma which for us is nationalism. This Hindu nation was born with the Sanatana Dharma. With it, it grows. When the Sanatana Dharma declines, then the nation declines. If Sanatana Dharma were capable of perishing with the Sanatana Dharma, it would perish. Sanatana Dharma, that is the nationalism. I unquote Dr. Ramesh's message on this special occasion. And we listen to all the eminent leaders, and we have many participants, and most probably our Binay Bhaiya from our Bihar branch of Sri Aurobindo Society, Binod Mardev Bhaiji, Professor Ashwini Kumar Shukla ji, and just one second.
Sir, I have a query, sir.
Yeah, just 1 minute. I am coming to you, sir. And also we have Dr. Bala Ganapati Devarapunda. He is the professor of philosophy, formerly ICCR chair of Indology, University of West Indies, Jamaica. And we have Dr. Anamika Tripathi ji and Sanjay Kumar Sahu ji, many people. Thank you for joining us, and we can have a 5 minutes discussion on this, and then we can close the session. Yes, Dr. Sharma ji, please.
Sir, I have two queries.
Yes.
One is how much globalization has affected the democracy all over the world. Corporations are ruling the world. And the second query is how we can apply Aurobindo's truth consciousness in the present context of democracy.
Can you please repeat the first question, sir?
First question is how much globalization is affecting the democracy. Corporations are ruling the world. And it is one world is for what type of people? Is it for the corporations, one world?
Any of the speakers want to reply to this question? We have Mr. Marcelo, Dr. Aniket Mahapatra, Dr. Vishwaranjan ji, Shweta Padma ji. Anyone wants to reply to this question? Your voice is not audible.
You listen me now?
Yes.
Yes, I ask how is possible work together before this great forum, or how will be promoting forums and programs and work together for new society, new moment for humanity. I am here to work with all, and please come. If it's possible to me learn Sanskrit and Indian language, I offer to all Spanish, Portuguese, and our Latin language. And we'll organize in future programs for integration.
Yes, actually what Dr. Ram Sharma, he asked how much this globalization, whether it has affected or affected to the human civilization. Dr. Sharma, I just want to add to what Mr. Marcelo mentioned. I was talking about when the civilization concept came, and when these people came in contact with each other, in spite of living in a harmonious way, they fought with each other actually. The civilization was collapsed, new nations were emerged, and this problem is still going on.
My question was how much this globalization has affected the democracy spirit.
Yes, exactly. I'm coming to that. So basically, when we see this fragmentation of these civilizations and the creation of the new nations, it's not about the creation of the nations. It was also highly affected the consciousness of democracy. Because each and every human being and each and every nation thinks that they are the superior things. That is the biggest disaster what the globalization has given to this. And what I feel that although we have developed few scientific techniques or tools to live on the earth, but we have somewhere the human beings has lost their existence to control the nature and to live in a harmonious way. And what Sri Aurobindo specifically, even if you take the example of what Sri Aurobindo spoke on 14th August 1947 in his 5 dreams, the first dream he mentioned that India has achieved freedom but not unity. So this unity is one of the most essential, immensely needed things, which is the need of the hour. And I hope this globalization has also some effects and effects also. And second thing you mentioned about Sri Aurobindo's ideas, Sri Aurobindo dreamed in the fifth dream. He spoke about the change of consciousness, especially the evolution process. The human being's consciousness will be changed so that the peace and prosperity will be established on the earth. And Sri Aurobindo also defines it is one of the tremendous, one of the most difficult things. But if the God's will there, it will be definitely established, because there are many things. Sri Aurobindo in his book, The Human Cycle, Ideal of Human Unity, he has critically addressed many of the issues, not only the Indic perspectives, but also around the world. Is this the answer to your question, or you want to add something, Dr. Sarmaji?
Yes, sir. Yeah, this is Anna, but I asked, we are talking after globalization, one world. Is it this one world for corporations only?
Actually, I just want to quote one thing. It was one of the last speeches of our former Prime Minister, Dr. Rajiv Gandhi ji. He mentioned that particularly power brokers have stood in the path of development. It was one of the statements what he gave. So somewhere we have captured the entire system, and there is not equality. Actually, we talk about the equality. I'll tell you some examples. Like on the roads, we find some people, we talk the beggars with the full stomach. When we move, but we don't think that the person is in the empty stomach is moving. But that kind of consciousness, like a person has enough, they're utilizing the powers. But that consciousness needs to be, it is not only for the corporate people. It is not like that. Nowhere it has mentioned that the power should be individual centric or country specific. It is applies to everyone. But we find there is an imbalance. There is not a balance between the groups, the communities, the people. But it is basically the war between the divine or the hostile forces. But with the God's will, time will come and the humanity will be realizing the true spirit of humanity. This much I can add to your question, sir. But
Yeah, sir. Aurobindo's human cycle, he talked about this truth consciousness. But if we look at the example of USA, sir, I want to give one example. I was in Los Angeles. Los Angeles में sir था मैं 3 years back.
Yes,
and suddenly I saw graffiti, sir, all over the roads and on the walls. So मुझे ये सवाल मैंने मेरे एक फ्रेंड थे यूएस के, उनसे पूछा कि आप डेमोक्रेसी की बात कर रहे हैं, पुलिस स्टेट आप बता रहे हैं यूएस की, और ये ग्राफिटी ये क्यों, ये सब चीज क्या दिख रहा है मुझे, ये इसे तो गवर्नमेंट कभी भी रोक सकती है, इतना रूल ऑफ लॉ है, लेकिन ये चीजें क्या दिखाई दे रही हैं। तो उस व्यक्ति ने आंसर नहीं दिया, लेकिन मैंने ही उसका आंसर दिया कि द गवर्नमेंट, यूएस गवर्नमेंट इज ट्राइंग टू क्रिएट द कॉन्शियसनेस ऑफ टेरर, कि लोग मांग इसका विरोध ना करें पुलिसमैन या पुलिस स्टेट का, और वही लोग मांग करें कि वी नीड मोर पुलिस, वी नीड मोर रेगुलेशंस. So we have to study the truth consciousness or human cycle, or if we study Savitri, we have to evolve on that point. If we really need the spirit of democracy all over the world, that's what is the need of the hour.
Yeah.
Today.
This is one of the significant points, Dr. Ram Sarmaji, you have added. And thank you so much for your valuable inputs. We have Tarini ji from.
I'm really sorry, I was too busy. I couldn't participate in a well-prepared way today.
I can understand you were undergoing some medical cases at the family, so I appreciate that in such condition also you're part of this. And when you are free, we can organize one of your full speeches so that people can
work. How can we create this truth consciousness or other ideals of Aurobindo or Srima?
Yes, definitely we will do that. And we have Tarini ji from Koraput. You want to say something? Okay. So, yes, please. You are most welcome, Tarini ji. You have raised your hand. Any question or any comments? Do you have any question, Tarini ji? Okay. So let me conclude in 2 minutes. because the mother had given me the opportunity to start this. I was thinking this project more than some 6-7 months. But you know that before starting any programs, we first finish the 3 pillars, that is creating the institutional networkings. Second pillar is to create some projects. Third is the people-to-people contact, and fourth is the program. If we do not have the 3 pillars, the 4th pillar will not be established actually. And the first thing what we started during these 2 to 3 years, we started making correspondence with many institutions in India and abroad. And we found the people like Srina Bhaiya, Marshalo ji, Audendra Bhaiya, Dr. Vishwaranjan ji, many people, those who are part of this. So we are also developing a web portal actually that is called the Aurobindo, Sri Aurobindo and Mother's Vision for the Integral World. That project is under process, and we are trying to put all the contents of the original works of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, and also more specifically what is happening on the earth, on the different streams of knowledge. For example, I'll tell you, I was listening to one of the speeches of our trustee, Dr. Ajit Sabnis Bhai. He attended one of the conferences and he met one of the physics professors. He mentioned that 6 to 7 PhD candidates, they have done their PhD, and most of the ideas they coined through the Sri Aurobindo's writings. So through that project, we will be addressing some of the critical issues and more focusing on the research and innovative methods, and to connecting the people actually. With God's grace, today this forum was created and we had a wonderful discussion actually. And I would like to conclude with one statement. When we talk about India's contribution to the world of democracy, it is not a one-way traffic actually. Because if it is you take the example on a road, if it is a one-way traffic and there is no opposite vehicles can come, the movement will not flow actually. If we'll deeply analyze the knowledge, the traditional evolution of these traditional things, the cross-cultural things through the sea routes, many things were developed. And if we refer to the cultural exchange programs, I was part of the Government of India's CEP, that is the cultural exchange program, for 4 years. And I have extensively worked with many of the Asian countries and some parts of Europe and Africa. You see, it is not a one-way traffic. I will give one solid example to you, to all of you. You take, when this Indian Parliament, our constitution was formed, more than many countries, the ideas were coined. Suppose it is from the US constitutions were also, we took from the British constitution, we took from the constitution of Canada, then Ireland, then French, Australian, many. So why these ideas were intermingled and coined? Particularly Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar and many other leaders, those who formed this constitution, they studied, like Sri Aurobindo speaks about the international things, not in a superfluous way, because Sri Aurobindo had that experience. While living abroad, he interacted with many of the people, had some extensive discussions while staying in Bengal or Puducherry. Then he gave some statements that this should be. So when we talk about India's democracy, contribution of democracy to the world, it is not a one-way traffic. I feel in many of the occasions, in many of the ideas also the world people have given to us. So it should be a combined way, what we have gifted to the world and what the world has gifted to us. It's not like that one country, because what in the beginning I read one statement of Sri Aurobindo, I want to repeat on that. Just 1 second, I'll conclude with that because it is one of the famous statements what Sri Aurobindo mentioned. Yes, this one, I want to talk about this one actually. The widest and highest spiritualizing of life on earth is the last vision of all that vast and unexampled, seeking and experiment in 1,000 ways of the soul's outermost and innermost experience, which is the unique character of, in bracket, India's past. This is the end, is the mission for which she was born and the meaning of her existence. What Sri Aurobindo speaks here, a widest and highest spiritualizing of life on earth is basically the message. So India's role is not specifically bounded with some 28 states or 8 union territories. India has contributed to the enrichment of human civilization, and in that process also in Bharat, this country also learned many things from the other countries. So when we talk about this international and global issues, the approach should be in a two-way traffic actually, otherwise, so it will, in a one-way traffic, things will not work. And when we talk about other countries' political, democratic or social existence, each country has its own existence, own nature of surviving the things, and more specifically the necessity is to respect each other. That is the basic need actually, to understand each other actually. I would like to refer one I would like to conclude with one of the beautiful poems. We human beings think that we are the most innovative, spacious and intelligent human beings. The title of this poem is Man the Thinking Animal. I'll complete with this. A trifling unit in a boundless plan amidst the enormous insignificance of the unpeopled cosmos fire will dance. Earth, as by accident, engendered man, a creature of his own grey ignorance, a mind half shadow and half gleam, a breath that wrestles captive in a world of death, to live some lame brief years, yet his advance attempt for a divinity within, a consciousness in the inconscient night, to realize its own supernal light, confronts the ruthless forces of the unseen, aspiring to Godhead from insensible clay. He travels slow-footed towards the eternal day. I conclude, this was one of the famous poems of, was it visible, that screen? Mr. Marcelo, that screen was visible? Oh, is it visible now?
Now going. Yes, now it's visible.
Yes, though I will read once again, it's beautiful poems. A trifling unit in a boundless plan amidst the enormous insignificance of the unpeopled cosmos fire will dance. Earth, as by accident engendered man, a creature of his own grey ignorance, a mind half shadow and half gleam, a breath that wrestles captive in a world of death, to live some lame brief years, yet his advance attempt of a divinity within, a consciousness in the inconscient night, to realize its own supernal light, confronts the ruthless forces of the unseen. Aspiring to Godhead from insensible clay, he travels slow-footed towards the eternal day. It is one of the unique poems of Sri Aurobindo. I like to read this very much. So it was a wonderful evening actually. In a collective consciousness, we started this forum. We discussed about some significant areas, not only India-centric, but also what is happening around the world, more specifically the issues what Dr. Aniketji, Dr. Vishwaranjanji, Dr. Swetapadmaji mentioned about, and Dr. Ram Sarmaji and my dear friend Marcelo and Mr. Walter, they spoke about the international issues, what is happening. And the next program, actually, just 1 minute, I will. We are having a next program actually on 21st. Yeah, this is, we launched another program on this auspicious Krishna Janmashtami, that is Vedic Heritage Study and Research Forum. The first session will be, because today we spoke about this Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, Vedic Vision of Peace and Sustainability, that is on 24th September, 7 to 8:30 p.m. I will share the links actually, and the objective of this forum to to study these scriptures of the Vedas and to find discuss about what are the possible solutions we can find to the global issues, especially peace and sustainability. So everyone is welcome to this. Kindly be part of these initiatives, and we are very much open if you have some new ideas, some new projects. Maybe we can join our hands with the universities, some researchers, we can take some small projects to bring out some good articles also. Our elder brother Binay Bhai is here. Professor Dr. Ashwini Kumar Shuklaji is here. Dr. Ram Sarmaji. Then Dr. Anamika Tripathi is there. We can create some small baby steps actually. So I hope in this way we can contribute something to the mainstream, just like a little squirrel's role. So with this, I hope it was a wonderful session, and we will continue this initiative further. Thanks to all of you for joining this, and we hope your continuous participation. If you have any ideas, we can organize. I am always open to do something in the service of this humanity. This is mother's work actually. And with this, we will meet again. And Jayatu Vishwam, Jayatu Jai Mata. Namaste.
Jai Ma, namaste.
Jai Ma, Namaste.